The federal EV tax credit is gone. Sales are down 28%. And right now, in 2026, the EV market is separating itself into two very clear groups. The brands that are absolutely crushing it and the brands that are in complete freefall. Today on Nick's Car Review, we are breaking down the winners and losers of the EV market so far in 2026. And trust me, some of these numbers are going to shock you. Let's get into it. Let's start with the single biggest winner of the entire quarter. And I promise you, this one is going to surprise some of you. Toyota. The Toyota BZ specifically. Now, if you have been following the EV space for a while, you probably remember the first generation BZ4X getting pretty rough reviews. Underwhelming range, slow charging, an overall package that felt like Toyota was testing the water rather than fully committing to electric. Sales reflected that sentiment. Nobody was particularly excited, and the numbers were modest at best. So what changed? Toyota went back to the drawing board. They listened to the criticism, fixed the core problems, dramatically improved the range, upgraded the charging speed, refreshed the interior, and came back with a second generation product that could actually compete with the best in the segment. And then on top of building a better car, they backed it up with serious incentive spending to grab market share while they could. The combination of a genuinely improved product and aggressive pricing hit the market at exactly the right moment. The result? The Toyota BZ is up 139% in Q1 2026 compared to the same quarter last year. More than double the sales in a single quarter. Over 10,000 units sold. And here is what makes that number even more impressive. Those 10,000 units put the Toyota BZ ahead of the Mustang Mach-E, ahead of the Chevrolet Equinox EV, ahead of the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Basically, every major non-Tesla EV that has been dominating the sales charts for the past 2 or 3 years, the Toyota BZ beat all of them in Q1 2026. A car that was being written off as an also-ran just a year ago is now the #1 non-Tesla EV in America by sales volume. That is one of the most remarkable turnaround stories this market has seen, and it deserves way more attention than it is getting. The lesson from Toyota here is straightforward. A better product backed by competitive pricing beats brand loyalty and marketing every single time. Toyota proved that this quarter in the clearest possible way. If Toyota is the surprise winner of the quarter, then Hyundai is the consistent winner, the brand that just keeps showing up and delivering regardless of what the market is doing around them. Because while almost every other automaker is posting ugly year-over-year declines, the Hyundai Ioniq 5 managed to grow its sales in Q1 2026 in a quarter where the overall EV market is down 28%. That is genuinely impressive, and it did not happen by accident. Let's talk about what Hyundai actually did, because I think it is the single most important strategic move any automaker has made in the EV space since the tax credit disappeared. When the federal $7,500 EV tax credit was eliminated, Hyundai did not sit around waiting to see how buyers would react. They did not start offering complicated dealer incentive programs that buyers have to negotiate and stack and figure out. They did something much simpler and much smarter. They just cut the price permanently. Across the board, the 2026 Ioniq 5 came to market up to $9,800 cheaper than the previous model year. The entry-level trim now starts at $35,000. No games, no stacking, just a lower sticker price that reflects what buyers are actually willing to pay in a market without a federal credit. And the market rewarded that decision immediately. Nearly 10,000 Ioniq 5 units sold in Q1 2026, up year over year, while everything around it is declining. The Ioniq 5 is proof that when you price an EV correctly for the market, it is actually in, not the market you wish existed. Buyers show up. It really is that simple. What makes the Ioniq 5 story even more impressive is the product itself continuing to get better while the price went down. The 2026 model brought an updated interior, improved technology, more range, and a native NACS charging port, giving owners direct access to Tesla's supercharger network. So Hyundai simultaneously made the car better and cheaper at the same time. That combination is almost unfair to the competition, and the sales numbers reflect exactly that. The The Ioniq 5 right now is arguably the best overall value in the entire new EV market. Strong range, ultra-fast charging, spacious interior, excellent build quality, and a price that no longer requires a deep breath before you sign. If you are in the market for a new EV right now, and you have not seriously looked at the 2026 Ioniq 5, you need to. Tesla is a more nuanced winner this quarter, but a winner nonetheless, and it would be impossible to talk about the EV market without talking about Tesla. Globally, Tesla delivered 358,000 electric vehicles in Q1 2026. That is up 6.5% compared to the same quarter last year. Now, 6.5% might not sound like a blockbuster number, but context matters enormously here. Q1 of 2025 was one of the worst quarters Tesla had seen in years. There were organized protests against the brand in multiple countries. Production line changeovers on the Model Y were happening simultaneously across Tesla's global factory network. And in major markets like Europe and South Korea, Tesla's brand was taking serious reputational damage that directly hit sales. So bouncing back from that specific low point with positive global growth is actually a more meaningful result than the raw percentage suggests. But the number that really puts Tesla's position in perspective is this one. Tesla still accounts for roughly half of every single EV sold in America. Half. Every other brand on this list, every winner, every loser, every automaker fighting tooth and nail for market share, they are all competing for the remaining 50% that Tesla does not already own. That market dominance is the foundation that everything else Tesla does is built on. And in Q1 2026, that foundation remains completely intact. Tesla also benefits from something that no other automaker can fully replicate. Right now, the supercharger network, with every major EV brand now adopting the NACS connector and plugging into Tesla's charging infrastructure, you might think that advantage is shrinking. But Tesla still owns and operates that network. They still control the experience. And that ownership continues to be one of the most powerful competitive advantages in the entire industry. Tesla is not having its most exciting quarter on paper, but half the market, global delivery growth, and an unmatched charging network, that is still a very strong hand to be holding, all right? Now we get to the part of the story that is honestly pretty painful to look at. Because while Toyota and Hyundai and Tesla are holding things together on the winner side, the loser side of this market tells a completely different story. And I want to be clear, going into this, these are not brands that had a slightly disappointing quarter. These are brands that are posting numbers so bad that it genuinely raises questions about where their EV programs go from here. Let's start with Ford. Ford's EV situation right now is rough. There is really no other way to say it. Overall, Ford EV sales are down 69.6% in Q1 2026, compared to the same quarter last year, nearly 70%. That is not a dip. That is not a correction. That is a near total collapse of their electric vehicle sales in a single quarter. Now, part of that story is the F-150 Lightning, which Ford canceled, so those sales are simply gone from the chart entirely. The Lightning was down over 70% even before the cancellation was fully felt in the numbers. But here's the part that should concern anyone paying attention to Ford's future in the EV space. The Mustang Mach-E, which is now Ford's only remaining mainstream electric vehicle, is down 60.4%, down from over 11,000 units in Q1 of last year to under 5,000 units this quarter. Think about what that means. The Mach-E is Ford's sole EV lifeline right now. The Lightning is gone. There is no other mainstream Ford electric vehicle available to buy today. And that one remaining option is posting a 60% year-over-year decline. For a brand the size of Ford, that is a genuinely alarming number. And the product situation makes it even more concerning. The Mach-E has been on sale since 2021. It was not particularly cutting-edge technology even when it first launched. Ford did not even bother adding a heat pump to the car until 2024, a feature that meaningfully improves cold weather range and efficiency, and that most competitors had included for years before that. The car is aging, the technology is aging, and Ford does not have a replacement ready. The next generation universal EV platform that Ford has been developing is coming, but not until next year at the earliest. Which means for the entirety of 2026, Ford's EV strategy basically comes down to one decision. Do they aggressively incentivize the Mach-E to keep some kind of sales momentum going? Or do they essentially accept that this is going to be a lost year for their electric program and wait for the new platform to arrive? Right now, based on the Q1 numbers, it looks very much like the latter. And that is a tough place for one of America's most iconic automotive brands to be sitting. The broader lesson from Ford this quarter is about product cycle timing. When you do not have a fresh, competitive product ready to go and the external supports like tax credits and emissions regulations that were propping up your sales disappear at the same time, the numbers look exactly like this. Ford needed new blood in their EV lineup in 2026, and they simply do not have it yet. The consequences of that timing gap are showing up directly in these Q1 results. And then there is Stellantis. And I genuinely debated how to introduce this section because the numbers are so extreme that almost anything I say before showing them to you is going to undersell just how bad the situation actually is. So let me just put the numbers on the table first, and then we will talk about what they mean. Stellantis has 3 electric vehicles currently on sale in the United States: the Jeep Wagoneer S, the Dodge Charger EV, and the Fiat 500 E3, vehicles from one of the largest automotive groups in the entire world. Combined total sales across all 3 of those vehicles in Q1 2026, less than 500 units total for the entire quarter, all 3 cars combined. Let's go individual model by model because each one tells its own story. The Fiat 500 E68 units sold down 85%. The Dodge Charger EV 240 units sold, down 88%. The Jeep Wagoneer S175 units sold, down 93%. These are cars that are 1 to 2 years old. Brand new products from a major global automaker posting numbers that most people would consider a failure for a tiny startup brand, let alone a company the size of Stellantis. The root cause here is actually pretty clear when you look at it honestly. Stellantis has not committed to making these vehicles work. They are not pricing them competitively. They're not backing them with meaningful incentives the way GM did with the Equinox or the way Hyundai did with the Ioniq 5. They're not marketing them aggressively. They're essentially putting these cars on lots and expecting buyers to find them in a market where every single purchase decision is harder without the tax credit and where competition from genuinely excellent and well-priced alternatives has never been stronger. When you do not fight for your product in this market, this is what happens. Less than 500 units across 3 models in a full quarter from one of the world's biggest car companies. It is honestly one of the most striking stories in the entire Q1 dataset. GM is the most complicated story of this entire winners and losers breakdown because depending on which specific model you look at, GM is simultaneously doing really well and really badly at the exact same time. And that split tells you something really important about what actually separates the winners from the losers in this market right now. Let's start with the good news inside GM's numbers. The Chevrolet Equinox EV posted around 10,000 units in Q1 2026. In an overall market that is down 28%, the Equinox is holding up reasonably well. And the reason is not complicated. GM has been throwing serious incentive money at this car. People have been finding Equinox EVs on dealer lots for around $25,000 after all the available discounts are stacked together. At $25,000 for a brand new electric SUV with 319 miles of range, that is an almost impossible deal to argue with. The incentives are working and the sales numbers reflect that. But then you look at the Blazer EV sitting right next to the Equinox on those same dealer lots, a car from the same brand, the same company, the same dealership network, and the numbers are completely unrecognizable. The Blazer EV is down 82.6% in Q1 2026, 83%. That is essentially a flat line on a sales chart. GM has not put anywhere near the same level of incentive support behind the Blazer that they have behind the Equinox. And the market has responded to that lack of support in the most direct way possible by simply not buying the car. That contrast between the Equinox and the Blazer is honestly one of the most instructive data points in this entire quarter. Same brand, same dealerships, same market conditions. One car gets serious pricing support and sells reasonably well. The other does not get that support and falls off a cliff. It proves beyond any doubt that in this current market, manufacturer commitment to a product is the single most important factor determining whether that product succeeds or fails. The Cadillac side of GM's EV business is similarly mixed. The Escalade IQ is down 26.8%. The Lyriq is down 21.6%. The Hummer EV is down 52.5%. The only Cadillac EV showing any real growth is the Optiq, which is up 65%, but from such a small base that the actual unit numbers are not moving the needle in any meaningful way. Honda deserves its own mention, the loser column, because the Prologue situation is a really clear example of a brand getting caught flat-footed by the tax credit disappearing. The Honda Prologue is down 65.3% in Q1 2026. And the response from Honda tells you everything. They just announced a $7,500 price cut on the Prologue, exactly matching the amount of the vanished federal tax credit, because that is essentially what happened. The tax credit disappeared and Honda sales disappeared with it almost immediately. The price cut is the right move, but the fact that it took this long to make it and that the car was already so dependent on that credit to drive demand shows how unprepared Honda was for this market shift. The Prologue was heavily incentivized, even when the tax credit existed. Now, without the credit and with an aging product that Honda did not originally engineer themselves, it is a genuinely difficult product to sell at any price without significant support behind it. So stepping all the way back and looking at everything we just covered, the winners and the losers, the numbers that shocked us and the ones that made total sense, what is the actual lesson here? What does Q1 2026 tell us about where this market is going? The answer is actually pretty simple. When you strip everything else away, the brands that are winning right now are the ones that looked at a market without a federal tax credit and made a choice they decided their product was worth fighting for. They cut prices, they added incentives, they did whatever it took to put their EV in front of buyers at a number those buyers could actually say yes to. Toyota did it with the BZ, Hyundai did it with the Ioniq 5, GM did it with the Equinox, and every single one of those cars is holding up while everything around them falls. The brands that are losing are the ones that either could not or chose not to make that same commitment. Ford is waiting on a new platform. Stellantis is barely trying. Honda got caught off guard, and the market showed zero mercy to any of them. The EV transition in America is still happening. It is just happening differently than anyone planned. Slower in some places, faster in others, and completely dependent right now on which automakers are willing to actually compete for the sale rather than waiting for external conditions to make it easy again. The tax credit is not coming back anytime soon. The emissions regulations are not coming back anytime soon. This is the market, and the Q1 2026 numbers just showed us exactly who is ready for it and who is not. I'm Nick, this has been Nick's Car Review, and I will see you in the next one.